Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we are live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are so excited. We have a brand new guest with us today. Hopefully you all go connect with her over on Twitter, and we are going to have so many good discussions, including some really wacky holidays and a good news story. So please go fill up your coffee, get ready for your morning. Feel free to share your good morning messages in the comments, and we'll be right back for a great discussion. I'm excited. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ray Heward, and it is Thursday, January 6th. There is going to be a really, really, really good show for you today because Tanya Hill is with us. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I am so appreciative that you woke up bright and early to talk to us. I know you're in Central Time Zone like I am, and so we always joke that it's at 7 a.m. Eastern, but that's an hour earlier for us. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad you invited me. I'm glad to be here. And it is a snowy morning here in Memphis, Tennessee. All schools are closed today because we're expecting snow.
Yes. You know what? Are you a pro snow person or not your favorite? Where do you land on that?
Okay, so before last year, I was a pro snow person, but last year, actually February of last year, we got so much snow. Like it's the most snow I've ever seen in my life. We got about 8 inches of snow and it wouldn't go away. And my house is on a little hill. So I couldn't get out of the garage because I couldn't slide down the hill because we didn't know, oh, you're supposed to put salt on your driveway and all of that. So after that, I was kind of like, I like snow, but I like it to come for like a day and then like go away.
Yes. No, I totally get it. I really love the big puffy flakes falling from the sky. They're great for like I have two dogs that are black in color. So when they go outside, I love when the snow's all over their face. But then when we come inside, I want the snow to stop and go away, and I don't want to clean off my car later. So I totally understand.
Absolutely. Oh, I have a dog too. I have a fluffy little Bichon named Peppy. He cannot stand the snow. He is a diva. He literally he's looking outside and then he's looking at me like I'm supposed to go out in this. And he's white and he just blends in.
Yeah, I'm sure he gets lost in the fluffy snow. That's so funny. Yeah, yesterday was a really chilly one where I am. I'm in the Chicagoland area. The winds were crazy. So I know the weather can be tricky, but I do want to give a shout out to anybody listening bright and early, or even if you're catching the show after the fact on Teach Better Talk podcast. We'd love to hear from you. What's your weather like? Because I actually think that I feel like everyone I've talked to says they're getting snow today across the country. So hey, if you're getting snow today, we'd love to hear what the weather's like, how many inches are predicted, and then we can compare what the weatherman says versus what we got. I know Andrea already in the comments is saying good morning, and she's saying Nashville has a snow day today too. So it sounds like a lot of people are not headed to their buildings this morning.
Not in the state of Tennessee, no. Mm-hmm. I think, and if you want to talk about inches, I think we're getting 0.3. That's enough to shut us down. This is the South. We're not used to snow.
I do love the comparison. You know, there's so many different beautiful cities to visit, especially in the US. I know we have viewers from all over, but I always joke that 0.3 inches of snow in, Tennessee versus if you get that in Chicago, nothing changes at all.
Right.
Oh, it's so fun. Tanya, I'm wanting to make sure that our community gets to know you. I know we've been following each other on Twitter for a long time. I was so thrilled when we finally got this date on the book so that we could talk shop a little bit more and bring you to our Teach Better community. But in case they're not following you yet, which they're going to go do right away, can you share a little bit about yourself, what you do in education, kind of all that jazz?
Okay, great. Absolutely. I am Tanya Hill. I work for Shelby County Schools in Memphis, Tennessee. This is my 25th year in education. I transitioned out of the classroom in June. So I have been 24 years in the classroom. This is my first year out of the classroom. I was an ESL teacher for Shelby County Schools, elementary grades, and now I am the K-5 ESL instructional advisor for Shelby County Schools, where I go and I help teachers, I train teachers, I help principals, I support schools and their ESL program with compliance and instruction. I also am a national board certified teacher. And I renewed 2 years ago. And so I also do work with National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. I am a board member for their national network of accomplished minoritized educators. I'm the secretary for that group. So I've been on Twitter. I'm also a self-proclaimed Twitter addict. And I'm on Twitter. I follow you guys. And if you all would like to follow me at Teach Like a Lady, you all can follow me. Where I talk about being national board certified. I talk about my passion of teaching and advocating for English learners and Black and Brown children. And any other randomness that comes to mind. Yesterday, I was tweeting about going to the grocery store to get peanut butter, and that was an adventure.
What kind of peanut butter? This is a big, hard-hitting topic that we like to cover on Daily Drop-In. Is your peanut butter preference?
Okay, so I prefer the natural creamy peanut butter, but this was because of my husband. He ran out of peanut butter. So he likes the extra crunchy peanut butter. So there's 2 peanut butters in his household.
Wait, you guys have sustained a happy relationship, but you don't agree on peanut butter? That is an accomplishment in and of itself.
No, if you look at out there, there's 2 peanut butter jars sitting there. There's his jar and there's my jar. And he ran out, oh God forbid, he ran out of peanut butter. He's like, I need peanut butter. I'm like, oh, I'll go run to the store. I'll go grab some peanut butter and a couple of other things. I get to the store and it's a madhouse. I'm like, it's 0.3 inches. And there's no toilet paper. There's no paper towel. There's no bread.
So you came home and you're like, okay, so I got the peanut butter, but I could get nothing else that you might eat the peanut butter with. So you can just take a spoon to the jar.
That's what I do. That's my preference.
I like that. I like that. I think it's so sweet that you offered to go for him to get his peanut butter. That makes you sound like the best spouse ever. I'm just letting you know.
Exactly. I mean, hashtag best wife ever. Come on.
I think so. Best wife ever. Truly. That will be the trending hashtag from this show. I love it.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that you got into supporting English language learners. I'd love to learn why that was the direction you went in education. What drove you that way?
Okay, there is a story there. So I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised in the suburbs of New Orleans, Louisiana. I was a classroom teacher there for 10 years, taught elementary grades. The last school I was at a magnet school, best performing school in that school system. Got married, moved to Memphis, applied to then Legacy Memphis City Schools. And they saw that I had an ESL endorsement. When I worked on my master's back in Louisiana, my professor encouraged me to add the ESL endorsement to my program. I was going for curriculum and instruction with a concentration on reading specialist certification. And he said, oh, add ESL. And I actually kicked and screamed and was like, well, why would you want me to do that? Because I'm not fluent in another language. And that's what I told him. I'm like, I'm not fluent in another language. So why would you even suggest that I add an ESL endorsement? He said, well, you're teaching English. You're not teaching Spanish. That's bilingual education. I said, get your endorsement in ESL. And after some arm twisting, I was like, fine, I'll do it. And I added it to my program. Never thought I'd use it. When I came to Memphis, 3 schools called me because they're like, you're certified to teach ESL. And I'm like, well, I never taught it before, but yeah, I do have the endorsement. And so I just kind of fell into ESL when I moved here to Memphis and absolutely loved it. And I will say this, it was a culture shock for me because, like I said, I came from a magnet school very prominent school. It was a lottery selection. Um, high parent involvement, sometimes too much. I taught the local politicians' children. So I came from a school like that. And then I moved to Memphis, inner city, Memphis, ESL children, never spoke the language. And here I am teaching first and second grade English language learners, children showing up, no backpack, no school supplies, no coat in the wintertime. And so it was a culture shock for me. So I'm like, okay, now I'm at Walmart. I'm buying belts, I'm buying socks, I'm buying gloves, I'm getting these kids school supplies. And it was a learning curve for me because it's like, okay, these the children that I am teaching, they not only need the education that I'm giving them, but they also need me to advocate for them. And they also need me to actually help them with supplies that they needed. And so I kind of fell into that role. I hit the ground running. I absolutely loved it. Began working on national board certification. And at that time, I was in a little closet. I was in a room that was slated to be an office, and I just kind of decked it out. I mean, I don't know if you all can tell I like to deck out a little thing, little things, but I kind of, made my room conducive for learning, and I would pull my little groups of ESL kids, and I tell people all the time I achieved national board certification in a closet with English learners. So I'm like, it's about, just providing good first teaching, and it's just about providing equitable education to all children, not just children that can afford it. And so that's kind of been my mission the whole time I've been here in Memphis. And so now I'm able to spread this message to schools across our school system and to principals, and now with your wonderful listeners.
Oh, I think it's phenomenal. And it is unreal how decorated you are as a teacher as you go through all those certifications and master's degrees. And it's so funny how sometimes we pursue a certification, pursue a master's in something. Somebody makes a suggestion about adding something extra. And at the time, you're like, that doesn't make sense, but then ends up changing the direction of your career long term. I had not nearly as big of a phenomenal story, but a similar situation where I got an endorsement in something that I never intended to teach, and it ended up saving my job for one of the years when I was struggling to find a position. And it's unreal how sometimes these certifications kind of help you along finding your passion, right? Isn't that so incredible?
It is. And side note, I did a couple of years into my job, I emailed my professor and let him know. I was like, I don't know if you remember me having the little mini tantrum in your office when you told me to add the ESL endorsement. I said, but now I'm an ESL teacher and I absolutely love it. So thank you. And he remembered all of it.
Oh my God, I love that. How powerful. See, that is the few times that an educator gets to see the fruit of their labor, right? Sometimes that happens, or so often that happens, but the student never again necessarily reaches out to the teacher to share the actual conclusion of their story. And how wonderful is it to have you reach out to that professor and say, hey, I know it's been years later, but look what I've been able to do because of your recommendation. That's powerful right there. I love that.
Absolutely. He was very, very appreciative. He was kind of shocked and very appreciative. Like, he's like, I remember all of that. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. Because that was his passion. His passion was teaching English learners. Even though he taught the reading courses, he would always make reference to, this is what you would do if you have someone in your class that speaks another language and is acquiring the language. And I'm like, why is he telling us that? But like you said, I mean, sometimes things happen for a reason.
It's true. It's so interesting as we're reflecting on so many teachers that might be experiencing snow this morning, maybe a possible snow day, or there's going to be a number of teachers that might be having like a remote day. I know that's an option for many states around our communities. I will give a shout out if anyone's willing to take a challenge this morning, which it might be too early for this, Tanya, but I love a good challenge where we can go and accomplish something very quickly in our day, but we can mark it as an accomplishment. I'd love to challenge our network. Remember back to one educator that drastically influenced your life. And this could have been maybe a phrase or a comment they said to you one day. This may have been a recommendation, just like, your incredible story with your master's degree and reach out to them and tell them how you turned out. I think sometimes we forget how powerful that can be. And yet when it happens to us as educators, it just makes our entire year. And so if anyone's willing to take a little challenge and reflect on, an educator that impacted them and sending just a quick little note, hey, just want to give you an FYI, this is how I turned out. I so appreciate your comment or your recommendation. I think we're really going to brighten some days today. That's so fun.
That's a wonderful idea. I mean, if you can find them, but that is an absolutely wonderful idea because I just kind of like literally I was like, well, this was his email back years ago. Let me try it.
Yes, no, but truly, my after I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I reached out to all of my special education teachers in middle school and high school and wrote them apology notes. I was like, I'm so sorry, I was such a terrible student. I just thought it was so funny because these were educators, especially in middle school, that I terrorized. I was diagnosed SLD and I just really struggled as a learner. And I was the worst kid because I was so resistant to learning. And after I
Wow.
became an educator, I emailed that, or I wrote them back and was like, just so you know, all the strategies I told you that I would never use, and I gave you the impression I wasn't listening, I use them all every day. Like I had to tell them.
That's amazing.
Well, it's so important for teachers to know, right? All the incredible things that they've been able to do for students. So it's
I mean,
always
but that's amazing that you were an SLD student and you're admitting like I gave my teachers all of these problems, but look where you are now.
well, I appreciate that. But yes, I could not do anything that I do now without those skills and recommendations and resources that they gave me. Even, again, when I was 11, that truly I still use now as an adult. So it's so fun. So
That's
fun.
awesome. That is so amazing. I mean, it's just, I mean, and you really, your story, just hearing bits and pieces of your story is why I do what I do. Because I mean, a kid like you in middle school, you could easily just write them off like, oh, she's bad. She doesn't care about education. I dread seeing her walk down the hallway. I'm not going to give up my all. I mean, just get her out of my classroom, put her in the office. I don't want to deal with her.
Mhm.
And now look where you are.
Well, we definitely need to keep our faith, right? We do important work. It's so important. Tanya, we're going to
Absolutely.
transition here into a segment we call brainstorming to get into a little bit more about what you're really passionate about, get more into talking shop about education. So we will be right back, friends. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show. We are thrilled that you are here Thursday, January 6th. While a lot of us are experiencing a snowy morning, we'd love to hear from you. And also, we appreciate, even if you're listening to this after the fact, take a screenshot. Let us know you're listening. I know Tanya is all over Twitter. So definitely head over to Twitter and tell us your thoughts on what we are discussing to continue the conversation after the show. Tanya, you have so many passions in this incredible field. And that's something I really enjoy about following you on social media is that you are always full of strategies, tips and tricks, ideas for educators to consider, but you also have a wide variety of things that you're passionate about. One topic that we specifically were touching on this week, just throughout the show, is this concept of like identifying a word for the year, identifying goals for the year, really envisioning what you want 2022 to look like. I'd love to start there with you and have you tell us a little bit about if you are somebody who sets goals, and if so, or if not, why might that be?
I do set goals. That's something I've always done throughout my career. My goal this year is to finish my dissertation, God willing.
You are so busy. I am so in awe of you.
I know. So that leads me to my one word this year, which is balance. I'm trying to have more of a balance this year because I think after I finish my dissertation, things will slow down.
I'm
But
sure you said that after your master's, after your national board
right.
certification.
After I get national board certification, after this, after that, and now it's like, oh, after the masters or after the dissertation, things will slow down. But I mean, I'm in the research phase, so I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm like, okay, 2022, I'm getting this dissertation, but my one word is balance because I have to find like a work-life balance because when it's off balance, I'm off kilter. So um just trying to manage, that big thing, my dissertation,
Yes.
and the new role that I'm in with my school system. And then trying to, manage my life, my personal life, self care, trying to balance all of that is my focus this year.
I have to tell you, there's so many pieces of that I want to dive into, but if you don't mind being a little bit of a nerd with me for a second, will you tell me about what you're researching for your dissertation and what you are pursuing with your dissertation? Because I love geeking out about what people choose to research.
Oh, absolutely. So after after a very long process, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but sometimes I have like all of these thoughts, right? So when I went into the program, I'm getting an EDD or an educational doctorate in instructional leadership. So this was my path to get an administrative license. And then I'm like, if I'm going back to school, I'm just going to get the doctorate. I'm not going to just get the license. So then came the research part. And I had about 7 ideas that I wanted to research, much to my dissertation chairperson's oh gosh, he would just grab his head a lot of times and would be like, "What? What are you talking about?" So after like flushing out all of the ideas that I've had, my research topic is the impact of achieving national board certification on teacher job satisfaction and teacher attrition.
Ooh, what
Yeah.
a phenomenal topic. Oh,
Yes, it's a mixed methods study
yeah.
where I send out a survey and I survey national board certified teachers across the country. And then if they choose to participate in small focus groups where I ask pointed questions based on the research that I received from the surveys that I sent out. So that's where I am now. I'm in the middle of setting up those focus groups.
Oh, Tanya,
So,
I'm so excited for you. What
yeah,
a great topic and truly so aligned to what you are so passionate about. So I love that. When you talk about,
absolutely.
yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely, because when I went into this program, I wanted to focus on teacher retention because we are losing so many phenomenal teachers. Then COVID happened.
Mhm.
Then it's like this hole happened, and all of these teachers are exiting the profession. And so my thought process is if teachers pursue national board certification, they're more likely to remain in the classroom. So that's where my research started. And it's just unfortunate because when you see really good teachers leave the profession and they leave at higher rates in inner city
Mhm.
systems than they do in suburban and rural areas. So of course, our Black and brown children are the children that are suffering the most when teachers are leaving and when you have that high teacher turnover, that high teacher attrition.
I hope you promise to come back on and tell us what you conclude. I would love to learn more
Oh,
about this
absolutely.
study comes
Absolutely.
on.
When I'm finished the research, I'll tweet you and let you know.
I love it. Please do. I really have loved. I don't know that I'll ever pursue a doctorate, but I have loved in the most nerdy way possible. I have loved following people through this process, and I feel like it's like a secret love that when I'm not on camera or when I'm not tweeting, I'm kind of like following up with all my friends that are pursuing this incredible opportunity and saying, "How's the research going? Tell me all the nerdy things you're working on."
Right,
I think it's
right.
so awesome. But you mentioned work-life balance, and somebody just asked me about this the other day. I'd love to hear your philosophy on what balance looks like. I love this idea of identifying balance as your word for the year because truly, as many of you know, listening or this concept of identifying a word is really a mindset shift, right? How do you pursue balance and make decisions towards finding balance. It's not about making it perfect right off the bat, but really sustaining it and making decisions in your life towards that goal. What does that mean for you? What would balance look like for you?
Balance would look like once I'm finished with work at 4:30, I'm actually able to turn my brain off and do something for myself, whether that be go to the gym, or just kind of binge out on um, reality TV. I love Housewives. Or I started doing some mindfulness practice with meditation. I downloaded the Calm app. I was going to say nothing fancy. I just downloaded the Calm app and started
Yeah.
using it, and just not feeling so overwhelmed with work and the dissertation, to where when I'm off, I'm not just, oh, I'm so tired, I'm just going to sit and collapse. Working myself until exhaustion. I'm trying to stop that and just trying to spend more time with friends and family, and just have some downtime so that I can have that balance, because I find when I do that, I'm much better at work. I'm sharper at work, and I'm sharper in everything that I'm doing. And so I know for teachers, particularly, and I'm speaking from experience, you would go to work sick. You're so exhausted, you could barely think straight, but you're still just pushing through. And then your body shuts down because you get sick. And then you have to take a sick day to go to the doctor, but then you feel guilty about it because you're like, oh, I'm leaving my kids today and I have to plan all of this for this substitute and I'm out, and I feel so bad. I wish I was there. And I mean, and even though I'm not in the classroom at my job, it's kind of the same way. Oh, I hate that I'm taking off because I have all of this that I have to do. However, if you didn't work yourself to exhaustion, you wouldn't have had to have taken that sick day.
Yes.
And that's what I'm learning, or I call it an attitude adjustment day. If you're feeling so overwhelmed and so stressed out that you're at your wit's end, you may have to just take a day to reset.
Yeah.
And not feel guilty about it. This is why they give us sick days every year. It's there for you to take. Not saying abuse it. I'm not saying abuse it. Like you just wake up one day and say, oh, I don't feel like it. But I'm just saying you've worked, and it's been very, very hard, and you're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling out of sorts. You're feeling exhausted. It may be time to take a day.
Yeah.
To rest
Very
and reset.
important. Yeah. You're talking about a really, really difficult topic for so many educators. And I love that this is a goal for you. Yesterday, when we interviewed the owner of the Happy Teacher Revolution, we got into some of this discussion around what are some actual things you can do, put into your day, supports to put into your day to help with this. And the reality is that we can give you, everybody, a boatload of ideas, but really choosing to use those strategies when appropriate to be the best that we can be is a very, very hard balance to find. So I really value that is something that you are going to commit to focusing on this year, because you sound like an incredible educator. I know you do so many things. You're so decorated in the work that you do. And I think it's such a beautiful reminder to have somebody come on the show who is so eager and hungry to learn and make an impact, and yet still have the reminder that balance, even in that mindset, needs to exist. And that's so powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I am speaking from experience. So that's why I tell a lot of educators, I mean, especially like our new teachers, they'll call me and I'll ask, have you taken a day yet? No. I said, well, maybe you should. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not supposed to encourage that, but I mean, would you rather them take a day or would you rather them quit?
Right. Right.
I mean, and so that's why I tell my new teachers, like, you have 10 days. It's okay to take one. Mm-hmm. You can take one. And one teacher told me, she said, she came to our office one day to pick up some materials, and she just kind of unloaded on how stressed out she is, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it's just too much, and I'm feeling so overwhelmed. And I asked her the same question. I said, are you taking a day? She's like, yes, I'm taking a day and I'm gonna go shopping. I said, good for you.
I love it. And as you were talking about finding this balance, I was joking with a group of educators earlier this week that were talking about that they have not felt bored in like 24 months. And I was like, tell me about what you mean by bored. And they're like, when you're sitting at home and you have just nothing to do, like you're like, I don't really want to watch TV anymore. I don't really have anything to work on. I'm just bored. I was like, yeah. And they're like, we have not felt that in 24 months. Like, there's always something to do. Teachers never have enough rest time to be so bored when resting. And I was like, all right, this idea of taking some time is really what we're discussing, right? Taking time, don't feel guilty about it. Go enjoy what you enjoy and be a little bored so that the next day when you go back to school, you can refuel you, re-energize you because you took time to rest your body. I think this is such an important reminder. So good.
It is. I mean, teachers really need to take care of themselves. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not bringing your best self to your classroom, to your kids, to your colleagues, to your administration. And so, I mean, and for me, I'm not bringing my best self to the teachers that I support, the schools that I support, the principals that I support. I mean, and it's just, it goes just across the work environment in our society. You have to take a day so that you can rest and reset. Sometimes Saturday and Sunday is not enough, especially if you're grading papers and doing your lesson plans on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yes.
Because you didn't have enough time during the week to get it done.
Tanya, we're going to get into some holidays and some good news stories here in a minute, but I'd love to ask you, you are so passionate about so many things. You've done so much. I know you constantly are on this pursuit to support every educator you get in contact with, whether it's physically in person or on Twitter or anybody in between. If you had a soapbox topic, like something that you just wanted to leave people with, maybe it's your best piece of advice or something you're most passionate about, what would that be?
Oh, I have to narrow it down to one.
This is not impossible. That was so mean of me to ask it that way.
That is always an issue for me. Side note, when I was interviewing to get into the doctoral program, one of the professors said, our challenge with you is to rein you in because you have so many ideas. And so that's how it is with this. But a soapbox topic, because I have a couple. But at the end of the day, I am going to say supporting the work in providing equitable education to Black and Brown children. At the end of the day, because yes, I'm supporting teachers, but yes, I'm supporting teachers because that has an indirect impact on the Black and Brown children that they teach. And so, one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is culturally responsive teaching practices. That's something that I am bringing to our department and wanting to incorporate into the work that we're already doing. Because, of course, we are providing highly effective instructional practices for English learners, which is great. But let's turn it up notch and add culturally responsive teaching practices by actually borrowing from their culture and infusing it into the lesson so that they feel a sense of belonging in the classroom. Because, yes.
Yeah, this has been a hot topic all over the place. I will ask you purely as somebody who is passionate about this, and our network is constantly looking for the right direction to pursue their exploration in topics. If they wanted to learn more about how to do that effectively, where would you direct them? Outside of connecting with you, of course, I'm sure they could call you up and talk shop, which would be a great resource. That's why we bring, friends into our community, is to grow our PLN. But if an educator is listening and is like, yes, that is something I want to pursue, how can we direct them to getting the support that they need to do that effectively?
Two researchers that I follow. I have their books. I read their books. I take information from their books and create professional development. I've done book studies. One is Zaretta Hammond,
Oh,
Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. That is like my Bible. I
yes.
mean, when she linked it to brain-based research,
Yep. So good.
that's it. That's it. I'm like, if you don't read another book, read that book. Because it's not just, oh, we need to do it because we want the kids to feel great and we want everybody to feel a sense of belonging and kumbaya. It goes way beyond that. Here is the scientific brain-based research that supports why you should provide these instructional strategies for Black and brown children so that they can be successful in the classroom. I absolutely love it. I mean, it was eye-opening for me. I read that book, I want to say maybe, was it 4 years ago? I mean, and I'm a veteran teacher, right? 20 plus years in the classroom.
Mhm.
I felt like a brand spanking new teacher reading her book. I mean, it literally, I read it and it was one of those, oh, I am doing that. Okay, so I am a good teacher. Okay. But
Yeah.
then it was like, oh, wait, I could start doing this like this, which I thought was absolutely wonderful. Another researcher, Goldie Muhammad, Cultivating Genius, her book on cultivating genius is talking about I mean, what I like about her book is that it goes more into a criticality piece where you're actually being critical of the curriculum that's sitting in front of you.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, if we can get kids to think that way, get them to critically think, they're going to excel on whatever standardized piece of test you put in front of them. If you start to teach them how to think critically about whatever is being said in front of them. So
Mhm.
those are two researchers that I like. And from Zaretta Hammond's book, Diane Starr Finner and Sydney Snyder created a book called Culturally Responsive Teaching for English learners. It's based on Zaretta Hammond's book. And I'm like, I just love how all of it, I love the fact that they took that and made it applicable to English learners. Those are some researchers that I would tell you all to follow on Twitter if you all are Twitter people. And those are two books, well, three books I highly recommend that you all get because when you're in school, you're in the classroom, you're in the building, they're focused on test scores. Test scores, are you doing this? Are you doing that? The data says this, the data says that, and we need you to teach the standards. And are you teaching this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Do you have this mandate, that mandate, this mandate? Okay, that's great. You want to have that piece. However, how are you personalizing this for your students?
I am so glad that I asked you that question because those
Yes.
are incredible resources. I hope
Yeah.
everyone goes and checks out those books, but truly, again, like we've been saying, add them to your professional learning network. This is not just head to the bookstore, pick up the book, read it, consume
No.
it, and move on, but add this to your learning practices. These are important people that are sharing incredible work and resources and strategies for us to be better. So powerful, Tanya. We're going to head into some discussion of some good news and, of course, some wacky holidays today. So we'll be right back. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team. Tanya Hill is with us, and we are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're checking us out over on our podcast, Teach Better Talk podcast, we appreciate you being here after the fact as well. We're getting into some good news stories and some holidays. And Tanya, I just have a feeling you're somebody who really enjoys a good celebration. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well,
It could just be Tuesday. Let's do it.
exactly. And that's what I love. We obviously will acknowledge some incredible, important holidays that are happening in communities all over the world. That includes religious or cultural holidays. It's so fun to celebrate those. But there's also some weird holidays. We always love a goofy holiday. So let's get into that. Today is absolutely a day that has some goofy holidays. The first one on the list, very, very top, January 6th. It is Bean Day. Are you a bean eater? I don't know that I'm like an anti-bean eater, but I don't eat beans very often.
Well, being that I'm from New Orleans,
Yeah.
one of our dishes, red beans and rice.
See, it sounds like you need to eat it today because it's National Bean Day today.
I mean, well, typically in New Orleans, we eat red beans and rice on Mondays.
Oh.
Because there's a whole story behind it. Like Mondays are that's the wash day, and
Yeah.
so because you're at home and you're doing you're washing all day, you have to let the beans soak and cook all day while you're doing your laundry. And that's the story. That's
So
the
that
story. So if you go to New Orleans and if
yeah.
you are there on a Monday, you go to any restaurant, the dish of the day is going to be red beans and rice.
Well, I love it. Today's Thursday, so I'd say this week you need to eat it Monday and Thursday,
Well,
just so everybody knows.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. It's also National Cuddle Up Day. So this picture specifically is it looks like somebody cuddling up with their cat. So make sure you go cuddle up with an animal today. That's always good. It is Three Kings Day for those of you who celebrate in the Christian faith, celebrating the element that is kind of finalizing some of the Christmas celebration. It is Apple Tree Day. Who doesn't love an apple, Tanya? Are you an apple lover?
Um, Not really. I mean, uh I can have it or not. I do like apple pie, which is awesome.
Ooh. Well, then I can just support eating apple pie today for Apple Tree Day. As we go through, one of the most important things I thought was so good, National Shortbread Day. I do love shortbread. So shortbread, I didn't realize had its own day to celebrate, but today is the day for sure. And then maybe the most important and the one that I am unaware of because I don't get to celebrate Christmas, but I will tell you, today is National Take Down Your Christmas Tree Day. So for those of you who still have your Christmas tree up, apparently January 6th is the day you're supposed to make sure you take that down. So Tanya, do you celebrate Christmas? Do you have a Christmas tree up?
I celebrate Christmas, but I do not have a Christmas tree up, but I have my fireplace uh highly decorated.
Okay.
And it's still up there, stockings and
I have to tell you though, it didn't say you to take down your stocking. It was just the tree. So I think you're still in the clear. I think you're good. We're gonna
oh,
give you credit.
but I do want to circle back to one of the holidays you talked about, the Three Kings Day.
Yes, please tell us more.
Okay, New Orleans.
Yes.
Today is the official day that you can eat king cake
Oh, tell me about
because
that.
it's Mardi Gras season.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yes,
officially. How exciting.
you're not supposed to eat king cake until today, which is King's Day. And if you eat it before then, it's like bad luck. And
Ooh.
so, like last year, a lot of people were saying, like when we started going through the pandemic, they were like, okay, who ate king cake before they were supposed to? This is why
Yes.
we're in this pandemic because all of you all were eating king cake before, Three Kings Day. So today
Yes.
is the official day that you're supposed to start eating king cake.
I am so glad we circled back to that. I had no idea. What a fun tidbit for today. I love it. So everybody needs to go get that as well. And I love that there's a good luck and bad luck thing too.
Yes.
This is my jam. I love that. That's so
Yes,
cool.
yes, yes.
The other
And
thing we want to
another thing they say too, like in New Orleans, everybody's resolution is to, oh, I'm gonna start losing weight. And they're like, oh, that happens on Ash Wednesday after Mardi Gras because of king cake.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We also have a good news story for today, something fun. We always talk about how this good news story can be something that you use to not only maybe brighten your day personally a little bit, but also to build relationships with colleagues as you're walking down the hall, maybe sharing a fun fact. Maybe you choose to bring this into your classroom to work with your students on, depending on what the good news story is. Today, I thought it was just such a cool story, and I saw this over on social media. I just had to share. Shout out to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who gifts his own truck to a deserving fan at a movie screening. So the story is really, really fun. A fan shows up to watch the latest movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as they go through kind of like the fun of seeing the show. Johnson knew that he'd be treating the moviegoers to meet and greets as well as free popcorn and ice cream at the concession stands. But he also did a bit of research on who was in attendance, and he found somebody that whose story really caught his eye. Oscar Rodriguez story really moved me, Johnson wrote on his Instagram, explaining the gift in which, Rodriguez obviously broke down crying when he was handed this truck. He's a Navy veteran, personal trainer, and sole caretaker for his 75-year-old mother. Rodriguez is also a leader at his local church group and runs a charity to help victims of domestic violence. As he went into the show, apparently Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was trying to get a Porsche donated. And when they reached out to Porsche, they said they weren't able to supply him with this free car. And so Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson decided, hey, I'm going to give him my own car. And so it goes into kind of this incredible story of how a actor was able to support somebody who was there to support his film. So shout out to obviously all the people involved in that incredible production, but also how fun is it maybe to bring to your students today or this week a fun story of people, being good to others. So important.
I love that story. And it's a great way to just show how to pay it forward. He's a successful actor now, and this is one way that he's paying it forward. He found this guy with an incredible story and gave him his own truck.
Oh,
that's amazing.
So amazing. I love it. Tanya, we've had such great discussion. I'd love for you to share one more time how everyone can get in contact with you and connect with you to make sure that our listeners add you to their PLN.
Absolutely. I am a Twitter addict. I am on all platforms, but Twitter is the one that I am on the most. And if you can see, I have my handle there. I am Teach Like a Lady on Twitter. I am always on Twitter talking about all things random, all things education related. I talk about the New Orleans Saints. Oh gosh, don't get me started. Anyway, and I talk about my favorite music artist of all time, Prince. You all are going to see me talk about that too. But I also circle back and talk about education a lot as well. So if you want to follow me, Teach Like a Lady. I have some hashtags that I created, hashtag doctoral life because of this dissertation. I need to do hashtag balanced life.
Ooh.
That's my word this week.
I love that. Hashtag balance life, hashtag teach better, hashtag daily drop in. I like all this. We can put them all together.
Yes. Cool.
I love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. But yes, follow me. I'll follow back. Love it. I mean, this is a wonderful experience and a wonderful platform. And I am so glad to be here.
Oh, we are so appreciative that you woke up bright and early to talk to us before a busy, busy day supporting teachers. I know for everybody here, we wish you the best Thursday ever. I know that so many of you are maybe waking up with a little bit of snow, or maybe you're a little sleepy, you stayed up too late last night. We will let you know today's going to be the best Thursday that you've had so far. And we're so excited to be here to celebrate with you. Please feel free to connect with us. We're always here to support you. And while Tanya and I can't promise that we have the answer, we sure want to be there to brainstorm with you and support you. So please let us know if you need anything. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Tanya, we're going to stay right here. But to our friends, see you later.